once a year to make our voices heard, to ensure that our elected officials do hear us out a bit, and we have a few things on the agenda today. Um, Number one, and most importantly, everybody knows that it seems labor is under attack, and we really want some type of friendship and people up in our state capital to have our backs whenever we do have to defend ourselves in any capacity that we may have to. You know, on the agenda today we have the Taylor Law, which is super important to us. Do you have any idea how Mr. Serrano actually feels about the Taylor Law and and the Tier 6 problem that we have going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've met with several groups because we're concerned about Tier 6. I will tell you my personal experience, I'm in Tier 6 and in a non-funny way, we call it Tier 6, TEAR. Obviously not funny, but it is definitely very concerning to him. We've met with groups in higher ed, teachers union, a lot of different groups about the concerns. So he's very for, reforming, and we do have, we have heard a few ways to fix this problem, but we're always all ears. I believe Senator Jackson may have the bill, or he may be one of the driving forces for, that is kind of working on reforms for Tier 6 and kind of putting that forward, but I'm very happy to hear what your suggestions are to make that a little better.
Well, one of the major problem that we have in transit is that we have a cap on our overtime. A lot of the work that we do, we have built in overtime into it. Our schedules are all over the place, and sometimes they need us for more than 8 hours a day, and most of the time that's the case. Right now we're capped at $20,000, and we, compared to Tier 4, they have no cap. So our pensions, when at the end, when we end up retiring, all of us, I believe, at Tier 6 here, are going to look very different than what other transit workers before us ended up with. Mm-hmm. And, we came into this job hoping and knowing that transit was a decent job for us all, and we've seen a deterioration in the quality of life that we're getting, living down in the city, and what's going to happen after we retire. So we want to make sure that Mr. Serrano is down with making sure that we lift this overtime cap. Mm-hmm. That's
one of many.
Yeah, well, that's the first that's the first part of the Tier 6 issue. The second part is the contribution rate that we got going on. Compared to Tier 4, they contribute 2%. We, at our top pay, are contributing between 5 to 6%. We definitely would like to get that percentage down to mirror Tier 4, and these two things are on the top of our agenda. It's something that we will collectively fight for. We want to make sure that anybody who expects to have our vote is behind this agenda. That's something that we're really serious about, that we need to get done.
Absolutely.
You guys have anything y'all want to add to Tier 6?
I think there was one that we might have bypassed.
What's that?
It's in your paper.
The gambler?
1, 2, 3, 4 things that we discussed earlier in the budget.
Oh.
I don't know which one it is off the top of my head.
Well, we still got to speak about the Taylor Law. Right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I wouldn't know if the paper would be there.
All right. Well, for Tier 6, that's one of the major things. Yeah, that's it. That's Tier 6. The death gamble benefit. As transit workers, we get assaulted regularly. We have a lot of assaults, especially transit workers. I believe in New York City, we're the #1 assaulted workers in the whole city. That's beyond fire workers, police, and everything like that.
Surface.
Oh, yeah, especially surface and the trains as well. Trains as well.
You guys ride the bus every now and then. You've seen it.
Yeah, I mean, we
Always
both
see it.
grew up
Always see
on
videos.
public
I always
transit.
see those videos that go
You
viral.
know,
It's
and what we
one
can do
news
is
stories that are terrible.
we protect ourselves as
Like
human
living-
beings. You
it's
know,
not-
the best that we
It's nothing
can.
like actually going through the experience
It's not.
and
Yeah.
actually getting on the bus and being there when it goes down.
I've witnessed one of these incidents
Yeah.
before,
Right.
and it's terrifying.
So, you know,
So
on
being
TV,
being at a hot
they
seat
cut
Being in the
things.
hot seat, I couldn't even imagine.
with the finger like this is your fault. Like this is not my fault.
Yeah.
You know, we don't drive through cars to get to where you need to go.
Oh yeah,
But
no,
please don't be
growing
upset
up,
with us.
Yeah, I was on the train and buses since I was younger than I should be, and you know, when people get in the face of these people who are literally in charge of the safety of everybody and getting us from point A and B, it's definitely horrifying, and I am really sorry that this is still. Even like I'm out of middle school, obviously, so many decades later, and this is still happening.
So with the Death Gamble benefit, a worker who dies before officially retiring, their family will get a lot less than what they would have gotten if that worker retired and lived off of the pension. So that's something that we feel we should definitely get parity with. Dying on the job is bad enough for the families who have to endure it, and the worker who may have passed away at that moment, their family deserves to be taken care of. And we believe, the Death Gamble benefit is definitely a step in direction to helping these families get through that process.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Thank you for flagging this for us.
So, and, to add to that, on his point, so he says, it's bad enough that we take on the job, we serve the city, we move the city, let's put it this way. And then on top of that, we have to tolerate the assaults, the insults, whatever the case is, and then die in the process. God forbid something happens. And it may happen on the bus or it may not even be part of the bus, but we're on the bus and we're a casualty of war. So then on top of that, the second point is like, that's the first slap in the face. The second slap in the face would be for the family to hear later on that, you know what, he's not gonna get his full pension. He's not gonna get the benefits he deserved if he would have been alive. So I believe that's what my vice
Thank you,
chairman
bro.
was referring to. So those are key points.
Those are, that's things that unfortunately we're going through a lot. Philadelphia, they just won a contract in which they're actually getting bulletproof with partitions, which is just goes to show how serious the situation is down there.
Yeah, we definitely need that kind of some sort of protection. I mean, we're not going to carry guns.
No.
We're not the
There
law.
are different times.
If we were the law, we'd be policing the fare box.
Yeah.
We're bus operators and maintenance
Yeah.
or train operators or train conductors. That said, the fare is not the battle that we need to
Sure
put
does.
ourselves in front of. So that being said, talking about fare, let's talk about congestion pricing.
Yeah.
All right, that part as employees of the MTA, helping move in the city, we live in the city, or some of us may live beyond the city lines, have to commute. Sometimes Long Island Railroad isn't working, and they have to use their cars to travel to whatever destination depot they need to get to, and they get checked with when that time comes, because everything's suspended right now, right?
No, it's still active.
It's still going?
It's active.
Oh, it's.
Nothing
I thought Trump was
We know he
running
take
the
the
show over here, man.
We know he take the
I take the train. You know what I'm saying?
He's,
So-
he's made comments. Yeah,
So
he's-
like on Friday, the city's meant to stop it, but that's what the federal government's saying. You should stop it by Friday.
Okay, that's what
However,
I
the
meant.
MTA chair, Jen Levis, said we're gonna keep it going. And it was because we're in court and litigating it.
Egg.
So because as by definition, when you're litigating it, it's still gonna keep going until one of the parties accepts what the terms of that thing, unless you get an injunction. But there's no injunction yet. So
So there may
It's
be
gonna keep
terms.
going.
There may be happening into terms where, all right, maybe the city employees would be exempt, and
that
while
would have to
PD
a
might be
modification
exempt.
in the law.
That's what?
He wants to shut it down He gave them to Friday based on certain stipulations that I just got this information from the news, what they showed. So I think one of them is the crimes within the subway system or on any operators, any city operators that deal with transit. And there were two other categories.
Well-
So they gave them until Friday to show and prove that these numbers has changed. And if not, then he would withdraw funding, federal funding.
Is that false?
For the city.
So that's true.
Okay.
So, we agree the MTA needs funding, but we don't believe that it should be on our backs. You
On
know?
our expense.
Yeah, you know, it's
At least for the work, you know, the
congestion
But-
pricing has taken a toll. It is putting a toll on all of us who are driving in, and for some of us, the toll is $200 a month, $300 a month, and you know, living in New York City, we're living paycheck to paycheck as it is. A lot of us, you know. Some of us, we don't have the option to take the train in, take the bus in. We're living in the Poconos. We're living all the way in Newburgh and, you know, in these places because affordability has priced us out. It's something that's just happening. So if there's any way we could try to get congestion pricing, maybe some type of exemption or anything like that, it's definitely something that we would appreciate. And you know,
Having an exempt would be best,
yeah, some type of exemption.
because any kind of reimbursement is not gonna cut it. We're here to work, like he said, we move the city. There's no justification to have it reimbursed or have a percentage off. It just needs to be exempt for all MTA workers. We need to come to the city to work.
The company
Whether it's the
we're-
cleaners,
company we're
every
working
department,
for is
of
towing
course.
us, and it's taxing us to come into work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We work for these people.
And I pay the toll one block, cause I gotta go into Queens, 59.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That bridge
One block.
is at the center of the city.
Yeah, they should have pushed it somewhere
That
else.
bridge should definitely, if you're going uptown, it shouldn't be at 60th Street. You know, we get off that bridge on 60th Street, there's no reason that we're paying that toll to go uptown.
Yeah.
So that's something that, you know, is that something Mr. Serrano would have any type of influence over?
I definitely appreciate that you are coming to, you know, let us know, because congestion pricing, we hear either very much like, this is the worst thing ever, get rid of it, you know, gut it out, or like, yes, we need this, you know, for a plethora of reasons. So this is really a productive conversation because you're offering a solution to like, you're like, okay, we see, you know, it has good intent, but it is hurting people, and I think that's the most important part for us, is that, you know, like I have context to the city, and I know a lot about Albany, I can read a law, but you coming up, our boots on the ground, coming up and telling us who it's hurting and what the implications are is truly invaluable to us. So I really appreciate that. And yeah, I would definitely let the senator know, because he is not in the business of, you know, hurting people. He represents the 29th Senate District, which is one of the poorest communities in, you know,
It's not.
in all of New York State. So he's not in the business, yeah, he's not in the business of wanting to put people further down.
Well, solution is definitely the Queensboro Bridge, which now they call the Ed Koch.
Yeah.
To get into Queens, there's no way you could get into Queens without a toll, unless you go all the way down to the Brooklyn Bridge, go through Brooklyn and all the way around. So
the
there's
SDR.
through the FDR. So
traffic.
if there's any way to do something with that bridge to help the people coming from uptown who are not in the congestion zone to get home into Queens and not have to pay for one block, we feel like we're being cheated there. You know, like that's
Transit.
yeah, but transit is cheating
We're
us for
talking
going
about
uptown,
transit.
and that's not the
Yeah.
congestion zone.
Right, we're not talking about everybody, because we can't speak for everybody else.
No,
right?
Yeah,
We're talking
delivery
about
trucks,
members
cabs.
that work.
Yeah.
Livery
No, but
trucks,
this
no.
is definitely, you know, very helpful proposal. Have you spoken with like the Queen electeds about that represent this specific area yet?
Definitely something that we're willing to do,
Yeah.
and
Want to engage
we'll
that
look forward
conversation.
to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there anybody specific that you think we?
I don't know. I would just say what you're doing here is the most helpful is kind of just like spreading the word to all of the New York City members, but in a general, like elected, I find that like offices in the Senate in general tend to defer, like not defer, but tend to also check in with the Senate that represents that area. I don't know off the top of my head, unfortunately, who represents that area specifically, but no.
So speak with a senator
So-
who might represent that area.
Yeah, I would just check in with them and just let them know what's going on, because I think that a few electeds don't really know that, you know, like you can look at it on a map, but to have people come in and say exactly what is going on is a completely different ballgame.
Copy that. Thank you there.
Yeah.
Because they may
So
view
just
it one
keep
side.
having conversations with everybody though, but definitely like it's every member you can see, but definitely I think that knowing what that person knows the area the best and can kind of help guide whoever with what our next step would be, what the proposal should look like.
Unless somebody else got another thing, I think this might be
Any-
the
any
final
concerns?
bulletin
Before-
that we want to speak about, and it's the Taylor Law.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the first thing I said to you guys is that labor is under attack right now. We and all union workers really feel that there's a battle approaching, and we need to be able to protect ourselves from these things. The Taylor Law, while it definitely helps us out in forcing management to come to the bargaining table when it comes to contract time,
Mm-hmm.
many times management decides to not bargain in good faith. And sometimes when we go to arbitration, we feel we have unfair rulings. You know, honestly, many times we feel this way. Anybody in labor and unions understands that the number one thing you're taught as a union person is the strike. You know, it's